This is About Heroes, episode 38, Special Transformers Edition. I'm Dan Hancock.
I'm Omar Valdivieso.
And I'm Melanie Given.
And this is a special episode.
A really special episode.
Not in the sense of the more you know, kind of, after school special episode.
Or a Blossom episode.
A very special Blossom episode.
It's way better.
Well, we're gonna let Melanie tell you about our special guest today.
Well, our guest today is the voice of Optimus Prime, Mr. Peter Cullen, and he has also done many voices in cartoons. I won't read them all, but just to name a few, he's appeared to cartoons like My Little Pony, The Smurfs, Snorks, 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. He was in DuckTales, Rainbow Bright. He was Monterey Jack and Chippendale's Rescue Rangers.
Why do all the ladies remember that?
Essentially, if there's an 80s or 90s cartoon, he was probably at least one of the voices.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's done, announcing for Toonami, Cartoon Network, for movie trailers. Let's see. Just, a ton of stuff.
Don't forget Eeyore.
Oh, oops. How could I forget Eeyore? I was at the top.
And of course he's doing the voice of the new movie.
Yeah,
yes.
The voice of Optimus Prime.
Yes, the voice of Optimus Prime in the new movie, The Way It Should Be.
All right.
He was also Ironhide and Slugslinger from Transformers as well.
He was Slugslinger?
Yeah.
Who was Slugslinger?
I was going to ask you. I don't have a clue of Slugslinger.
Was he?
Well, maybe someone listening to this.
It's like, I know Slugslinger from Energon. Oh, there goes all my Transformers cred, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think we might edit that out. Well, we got a clip from the end of the third season, which brought Peter Cullen back as Optimus Prime after he died in the movie. It's a pretty short clip, so
the wisdom of the ages, it's lost. No, not lost. We're all a little wiser now. But the Matrix is empty. It's up to all of us to fill it again. With the wisdom we accumulate from this moment on.
If you are at all the same age group that we are, just hearing that voice brings back just a flood of memories. And so...
Oh, sorry. I didn't know that was my cue. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Peter Cullen.
Hello, Peter.
Yes.
Hey, this is Omar from About Heroes. How are you?
Oh, great. Well, there you are.
Okay. Just want to thank you for joining us tonight. There's three of us tonight that are going to be mainly doing this interview. I'm Omar, and we got Dan.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Dan.
And we have Melanie.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Melanie. How are you?
Good.
So I guess we're going to go with the very beginning of your work, like how you got started, how you got into the voice acting business.
I guess voice acting, per se, as a student at the National Theatre School of Canada, I did some work for the CBC radio drama department, and I think that would be the official beginning of the acting part of it. There were mostly classics and detective and written one-hour shows, half-hour shows, and then I go back to school, etc. And when I got out, I didn't really get into voice work as itself until years later. I had pursued acting for several years and then came to Hollywood And about 7 years of Hollywood television, I finally just cut that off and went into voice acting, whether it was cartoons or commercials or narration for different projects. But that wouldn't have started, I guess, until about 1980. About 1980 when I started actually getting regular work.
That's so cool. So how did you first get involved with the Transformers? I mean, that's probably one of the most popular things you've done, I'm sure. And I mean, how did that come about?
Or at least in our
eyes.
Well, it was really a cattle call, and that's how we refer to a general casting, where everybody comes in, and everybody has a shot at reading for many different parts. I probably read for 4 or 5 characters in that show, and had no idea that what it was all about. I'm sure that's what you want to know. I had no idea what it was. I mean, I'm used to doing cartoons that had, either little animals or funny people. But now all of a sudden I'm talking to a tin can. I'm making a metallic thing, which I didn't really understand. I had no idea what it was all about. We didn't have a script. We just had sides, character breakdowns. And that's what I went off of. I just read the character breakdown and decided that's what I would do for each voice,
So, in that sense, the voices that you auditioned with for the characters, did they end up being pretty close to the actual voices of Optimus Prime and Ironhide, or did they still undergo a bit of modification after that?
No, not at all. I mean, it was exactly what I did, and I quite frankly, I didn't remember what I had done because I auditioned so often, and I wasn't really sure what voice it was until they told me the character, and I said, "Oh, you mean the leader guy?" Okay, and I knew what that voice was in any case because I applied certain qualities that I thought I would like a leader to sound like, and so it was right there. And I was surprised again, to find out that I was the leader of it, and still had no idea where it was going to go, what it was going to do, what it was all about. But that soon ended as soon as we got underway.
So, originally when the More Than Meets the Eye miniseries aired, as I understand it, it was piloted long before the rest of the series was recorded. Was there much of a gap in the actual recording, or between those initial 3 episodes and the rest of the Transformers saga?
Omar, I really going back 20 years or more. More than that. There may have been a space, and then I probably would have been told by my agent that the show had been picked up, and we would all have been very excited about it, and because it was a great group of guys, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So it would probably have been in a couple of month range, or if it had aired during the summer, it probably would have come on in the fall. But I don't have any more of a recollection than I do. Sorry, I can't help you. It was a long time ago.
Oh, that's okay.
Omar, do you want to go ahead?
Oh, I was going to say, it was a long time ago for us, too. But but we have DVDs to remind us of the good times.
I'm stepping on your feet. We've read, in different interviews that you and the other voice actors have done, all kinds of stories about hijinks going on in the studio, and particularly there's one that sticks in my mind of someone talking about Frank Welker sitting in the corner on the telephone, actually just talking to his hand.
Right.
Is there anything like that sticks out in your mind about any of the other cast members that you worked with?
Again, it's so long ago, I would really have to drill my brain for that one. But generally speaking, I think there was an awful lot of tomfoolery. You know, we had fun, and certainly Frank being the leader, and because of his, I mean, he's a genius when it comes to sounds and voices and things. But we all had fun. We all participated. I would think Scatman Crothers was just fantastic. He was so cool, you know, and he was always laughing because he was just astounded by the general talents that some of these guys had in replicating cartoon voices and things. And he was certainly out of his element because, I mean, he just played himself, but he was loved, you know. We loved him. We had great times with him, great times, and I miss him. Well, to get to one example, I don't really. I can remember one. I mean, back in those days, you could actually smoke inside a studio, and several actors did smoke. And I think they were there was a wastepaper basket, and somebody had flicked a cigarette in there and hadn't put it out. And I think we had a fire going, and I think the sprinklers came on, and it was a mess. It was hysterical, but it was a mess for a while. I don't know if that'll how many guys will remember that, but I would.
Do you keep in touch with any of the other voice actors? Not just on Transformers, but I mean, I guess on any show. Do you keep in touch with anybody?
Not really, but I do see them on occasion at other sessions. But unfortunately, or fortunately in some cases, because it's very convenient, we work alone, and that's the case with a lot of Disney work that I do as Eeyore. I will record by myself.
Oh, that's so lonely. It's his character.
Well, he's a lonely character.
Yeah.
But mostly everybody, outside of a couple of people, are living elsewhere. And with the ISDN now, the telephone, and whatever that technical term is for your home studios, that people can do it out of their own home now.
Oh, so, cool. When you do voice acting, do you use your hands a lot? Do you tend to actually act it out as you're talking, or like how does that work?
Yeah, I think I do. But I usually hold on to the stand, and I've got the earphones on, and I'm constantly turning pages. So, yeah, every now and then I think I would do some ridiculous gestures. Yeah, sure. I talk with my hands. Yeah, I do. I talk with my hands. I'm talking with my hands right now.
Oh, okay.
How is it, you mentioned that you record by yourself. How is it different than it was then? Like, back then when you were doing Transformers and, DuckTales, or anything that you've ever worked on in the 80s, was it a room full of guys and you guys were doing your lines?
Exactly.
Or did you get... And now it's your room by yourself?
When Transformers, we all lined up, and we were all in a straight line, facing the window towards the engineer and director. In other areas, we're sitting down. We were standing. In other cartoon shows, we usually sit around in a semicircle so we can relate to some of the other characters. But it's generally done like that. Generally, you're sitting down in a semicircle. And, yeah.
That sounds like it'd be more fun, so you could play off of other people.
Yeah. You can see. The Transformers was a little different that way. And, of course, we did so many different stages of sounds. We'd do grunts, and then we'd do a second layer of sound where we would probably have to scream in different characters and then yell and then do dying sounds and ahs and ugs and parts. And, okay, that's one level. Okay, we'll step it up on another. We'll do another level. And I think that's where Emerald got his pow. It's up another notch.
Well, based on what we talked about before we started recording, and also what you've said, particularly in the panel at BotCon, which we were lucky enough, or I was lucky enough to attend, and Omar met you in person.
Yeah, you might remember me. I was the geek.
That helps.
As we understand it, you've not yet really seen the script for Transformers, the new movie.
I've read a couple of pages is all. I've read, I think, a little bit of maybe the second or third page, and Ironhide was in it as well.
Holy!
I wasn't cast as Ironhide. I don't know who was going to do it.
My heart just dropped. You weren't cast as Ironhide.
Yeah. Well, I actually read the part and came back as Optimus Prime on the next line, then the next line would be Ironhide, and then back to Prime. And it was kind of fun, although it was a little difficult to do, but after so many years. But he came right away. He's just an old boy. Oh, gee whiz, Prime, come on. Let's kick some butt. Not now. Okay.
It's funny with where we're on Skype and it sounds just a little bit digital. It's almost perfect with it's like with the old flange effects on the robot voices.
Uh-huh.
And our jaws all just dropped.
Yeah. So, based on what you have read, have you read enough to get an idea of the character of Optimus Prime in the movie compared to his character in the old TV series?
I think he's the same.
Yes.
I think he's exactly the same, and perhaps a little more personal in his relationships with humankind. He has I think, a little more one-on-one, and he certainly, I know, has to try to understand some of the hip language of today, because one of the characters talks to him, in slang, or what we would call slang today. And he, but he becomes more personal, I think, and he even comes out of that he even offers a few one-liners of his own, to try to be hip, but he's still obviously trying to be hip, so it's going to be obvious. But I'm not too sure how much of that is going to be in. As I said, I've only read a few pages, so I have no idea when I'm going to start work on the picture. But I'm looking forward to it, though. Perhaps we'll have more information the next time we talk.
Well, have you done any work? Or go ahead, Omar.
Besides the movie, have you done anything else to do with the movie, like commercials or something, with the new movie?
No commercials. I have worked with Hasbro on some, I think it's iPod work. I think it's either, it's iPod or computer or internet. And I've recorded a lot of lines. And I've also done a few lines for a couple of their toys as Optimus Prime. So I think there may be some new toys out there as Optimus Prime that will actually speak.
Oh man, we are so happy to hear that.
Is there any chance you can give us one or two of those lines?
Boy, there was about 80 of them. So I think there were, the general kind of, let's see if, there's Autobots transform and roll out. That's in there. What was the other one? Let me think. You got me on the spot here.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. We all passed that when you said that.
There were a lot of them. I think the one that you who are without mercy now plead for it. I thought you were made of sterner stuff. Remember that one?
Oh, can I be Megatron? Okay, we won't play that game with you.
Oh,
We're trying to hold back our excitement. We're all just going inside.
Was that a question? Because I couldn't make you out. It was a little muffled, Melanie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying we're holding in our excitement right now. We're all like going inside, and we're trying not to be too geeky.
I tell you what, I more than appreciate your the undertones that you guys are displaying. It just makes me feel very, very humble, and I'm very grateful. Believe me.
oh well,
No, we're grateful.
You said in the panel at BotCon, this past BotCon, that you weren't really aware of the fandom that had grown up around Transformers until you attended your first BotCon.
That was in Rochester, New York, and yes, I was. I was totally stunned by it. I had no idea. You know, I really had no idea what I was going to get into until I sat in front of, several hundred Transformer people, and when they started asking questions, and when I opened my mouth at one point as Optimus Prime, I mean, they bolted, they went, and that's when I got really, I was really surprised.
So, you mean surprised? You didn't get any fan mail at all when you were doing the series, or?
No, not a bit. There was one occasion, I think, it was a very sad occasion, and it was a young boy dying of cancer, and he had been needle pointing a picture of Optimus Prime, and he never got to finish it, and I received it after the rest of the people in the hospital finished it for him, and his last wish was that they get it to me. And I did, and they told me this very, very wonderful, tragic story, and it affected me deeply, and that was many, many years ago, but I still remember Michael Colley, and he was a sweet, sweet, sweet boy. So I guess that would be the only time, but I thought that was an isolated thing. I didn't really think it had a general consensus attached to it. It was just a one-shot thing, I thought. Wow. As it turns out, it was significantly more than that.
Yeah. Now, you did 2 seasons of Transformers, and then I'm assuming you recorded the movie, and you were reading the script of the movie. What were your feelings when you read "And Optimus Dies"? Both Ironhide and Optimus Prime die.
Well, I was sitting next to Frank Welker. We were going over the script just before we were going inside, just marking our pages and marking our lines, And I got to that very interesting little section where Megatron wastes me, and I say, "Hey, Frank, are you on this page yet?" And he said, "Where are you?" He says, "The page where I'm getting whacked. You're smacking me, man." He said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, geez, there go the car payments." Holy, I said, "I'm out of here." Oh, he said, "Oh, no, man. Oh, jeez." That's how I found out. Yeah. It was fun. Okey-doke. Back to the auditions.
Oh, very nice. Now, at the time you were doing Transformers, I'm sure you were doing other cartoons and whatnot at the same time. Is that?
Yeah, but I did so many. I can't remember which ones that were on at the same time.
Right.
But I know certainly there were other series at the same time. I was at Hanna-Barbera quite a bit, and I did a lot of work with Hanna-Barbera, and did a lot of with some other companies which have gone by the wayside, but I can't remember. And some ridiculous cartoons. You don't see them anymore, and in some cases, thank God. But generally, I mean, I could be walking by a place where there'll be an old cartoon on somewhere, and I'll say, "Holy crow, that's me." I don't remember doing that voice. Where did that come from? You know, holy crow. Yeah. As I said, that's a long time ago.
So, I'm curious. You mentioned that when you auditioned for Optimus Prime originally, you went in not knowing anything about the character. Out of curiosity, was it different going into audition for the Disney characters like Eeyore and whatnot that were already well-established characters?
Yeah, because are you speaking like in the case of Eeyore?
Yes.
Well, I had to I had to impersonate the original actor, who was a cowboy as well, and they gave me a line. About 4 or 5 lines to listen to on a small tape recorder, and he was pretty much in my register, and I had about 15 minutes to listen to it. Then I went in and I read the lines and found out that I had replaced him, and as I will be replaced, eventually, because one day. Hopefully many, many, many years from now, but
yeah.
I think Eeyore will probably go on, and God knows what will happen to Optimus Prime, because he's already been wasted once.
But you came back.
Yeah,
but the character came back.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that? Were you like, where did that come from?
No, I started getting some feedback from people who were well-versed in the internet, which I'm not. And they told me, he said, "Yeah, boy, there's an awful lot of activity about your character, Optimus Prime." And I had done a couple of BuffCons, so I was curious. And I was at a friend's house, and we looked it up on the computer, and I saw a lot of the ramblings going on, a lot of the posts. And that's when I started getting excited about it, because that's when I learned that there was going to be a feature film. And then I started hoping that I got it. I say, gee, boy, these guys are fighting for me.
We all started fighting for you.
Man, you guys are great. I mean, I probably would not have gotten it without you guys. I never would have gotten it. I know I wouldn't have got it. But,
we wouldn't have gone and seen it if you weren't in it. Let's just put it that way.
It was a fine battle, and you waged it well, and you won, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
So are we.
Well, actually, I was referring to the original series. When they killed you in the movie, they brought you back in the 3rd season. I mean, did you know that...
2 or 3 shows, right?
Right. The Return of Optimus Prime. I mean, is that when you found out that, hey, maybe people really like my character?
I just figured they were doing it for script, for some kind of continuity or some historical thing. I never even thought about that. I never actually thought about it. I still was not, or any of us, or Corey Burton, Frank Welker, none of us were aware that the show had created such a stir. But we just figured it was cartoons as usual, more toys. So that's life. No hard feelings, and it was just on to the next job.
So, did you at all follow the Make Prime Speak contest that went on the internet, I guess last month?
I'm aware of it, but I don't know what conclusion it came to.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Omar, I'm pretty sure that the line that ended up being voted on was that freedom is the right of all sentient beings. But did you, when you heard about it, did any line jump to your mind that you would just really like to say as Prime?
I'm sure there were a couple of lines that would have been really nice. I don't remember them, but quite honestly, I think I did react that way when I read a few of them. I said, "Oh, that's a good line. That's original." But a lot of it, I seem to recall, had more to do with plot-related stories that I couldn't remember, and I certainly had a lot of difficulty in trying to piece together some of the real techniques behind the storylines because there were so many. And I am not an authority on the history of Cybertron or the Matrix or much anything else except a general feeling of it. I read my character and did my character, and however he would respond to certain situations, that's the way I read him. But we never went into any depth or detail on history or anything else. You know, it wasn't Shakespeare after all.
I don't know. Some people would argue with that.
Well, you know what? Yeah, that's a fair thing to say. Because it was so well written, and the imagination process that produced that whole thing is really very exciting. So I take that back. I shouldn't have said that. And yeah, in the 21st century, or in that case, the 20th century, that was very, very exciting. You know, to end the 20th century with that, I think was pretty darn good.
Speaking of that contest, I have to reference. There's an online comic by David Willis called Short Packed, and in response to that contest, he did a comic about it. And the punchline of the comic is Prime pointing down at Spike, I think saying, "I screwed your mom."
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh boy. Yeah, well, okay. I don't think that's gonna make it. No. Yep.
So, Peter, you said, so for this new movie, you weren't approached, right? You had to audition for it. Like, nobody went, "Hey, you did the original Optimus Prime's voice. We need you in this movie."
I think there was a feeling on behalf of the studios that they were going to go with a major star, and then you guys came aboard, and they had to rethink it. And I think they were actually there was Di Lorenzo and there were a few people that were for it and against it. So, and I'm not quite sure how that ball rolls, and I won't go there. But when I was called in, I auditioned only for Michael Bay, and I read that first time with Michael, and then he actually brought me back about a month later, wanted to hear me again. It was so I had a second audition, and I think that was to confirm whether or not I could relate on a personal level as an actor, on a one-on-one with an acting with a human actor, you know, in which I certainly removed any of those doubts, and I found quite quickly that I had been signed and cast for it. So, and time goes on. That was back in July. I was in Colorado Springs at a Marine Corps reunion that my brother was involved in, and they called me from San Diego, and I was in my hotel room, and I did a live announcement to the Comic-Con in San Diego, and that's when the ball really started to roll. It's great surprise to see the reaction. It still amazes me, and I can't tell you enough how grateful I am.
Shia LaBeouf, and pardon me if I've mangled his name, who plays Spike, has mentioned that he's signed for 3 pictures. Are you at liberty to say whether that might be the same case for you?
Yes, it is. I've been I have talent agent negotiations for a 3-picture deal, although at any moment that could change. You know, I've only signed for this one.
Okay.
But we've negotiated for 2 and 3 if they do happen. So we'll just take that as it comes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good news, though, to hear that they're at least. Yeah. I guess you're the only original voice actor that's coming back so far on paper. I don't think anybody. I mean, there's rumors that I think they're trying to get Frank Welker to come back to do Megatron's voice. I mean, would you like it to be Frank?
Certainly. Frank is a dear friend, and I have a tremendous respect for his talent. He's fun to work with. He's a giver. You know, he gives a lot, and that's important. And his heart is in it. You know, and there's nothing phony about Frank. He's just a multi-talented, wonderful human being. So all I can say is I sure hope he does get it. I hope so.
Well, we're all pulling for Frank too.
That's great. That's great.
So, anything else you're working on now?
I've done a couple of trailers, and I'm working. Let's see, I'm doing. Oh, gosh, what am I doing? I did some Hasbro today. I did a couple of trailers last week. I'm doing something for the internet. I can't tell you what that is. I have to go back to my log here to tell you what else. Oh, I sound so busy, don't I? I read The Good Shepherd. That's a movie about with Robert De Niro about the CIA, and that could be interesting. I've been doing cartoon networks for IGPX, and that's a regular kind of gig. And Pan's Labyrinth, which is a movie, I think I just did that for London, England. They have a wonderful way of saying when a movie's going to open. You know, you say Pan's Labyrinth in cinemas, November 24th. In cinemas now. I don't get a chance to say that here in America. In cinemas from Friday. Oh,
So, out of curiosity, speaking of movie trailers, have you ever worked with Don LaFontaine, who, you know, is kind of the movie trailer voice to some extent?
Yeah, up until about a year and a half ago, when I started fading away from trailers kind of took on a different sound, a very trendy sound, a very young sound. And Don and I have kind of been backed off, and Don was doing network announcing for Fox while I was doing network announcing for NBC. And then Don would be at CBS while I'd be at ABC. So we over the years, we both worked together, and sometimes in the same studios for the same networks. But Don and I are members of the Tischerman Agency, so we see each other, or we used to see each other before actors started putting their home studios in, and now they don't have to travel anymore. But I don't have one personally. I
was going to ask you about that, if you had one yourself.
I really enjoy working in a studio and being one-on-one with either the engineers. I get a feedback that way, and I feel more as if I'm creating rather than sitting at home in my pajamas the way some guys do. I couldn't imagine doing it, getting out of bed and saying, oh, gee, I got to record in 30 minutes or 6 seconds. All of a sudden your home becomes a workplace and no longer enjoyable that way, you know. Oh, gee, I got to go home. Oh, boy.
Out of all your years recording and acting and everything, who is your most favorite voice? Who's your most favorite character you've done?
Optimus Prime, definitely.
Hey, what a coincidence!
Yeah,
mine too.
It's true because I can't help but be affected by the outcome of it all, and to know that I've given joy gives me joy. So it's a very personal decision, inside, and it makes me say, yeah, that's a great character. I'm glad. And I got it from my brother Larry, who was captain in the Marine Corps and fought in Vietnam. And he's a little older than I, and that's his personality pretty much, and the combination of a few other people in my life, but more so my brother Lar, and that Marine Corps quality, you know. So that's how that came about.
What about Ironhide? Are you more like Ironhide?
Ironhide, I think it was the words that ignited that character. I think it was the way it was almost so many cartoon characters over the years, and it was a combination of them. And oh gosh, let's see how many. It was like Senator, Foghorn. Remember him?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I say, boy, you know that guy. And then who else? He was, I want to say Wallace Berry, but Wallace Berry. There's a combination of different voices, and I think it was just the dialogue that I read that sparked that. And that's how he came out to be like that. Oh, gee willikers, you know, that kind of guy. And it was fun, you know, and it was certainly different from Optimus. So
it was a little different. Yeah. It was. Was it fun reading the same lines like towards the beginning of, let's, for example, Transformers the movie, when Optimus is talking to Ironhide, and was that pretty fun? Just doing the different voices, but
oh yeah. I would try to be brilliant, and do both of them at the same time, but inevitably, I'd screw up, and they say, okay, let's do them one at a time, Pete. And I say, all right, okay. I'm defeated. I couldn't pull it off. But it was fun, yeah.
So wait, at conventions, do fans ever come up to you and go, hey, can you do the line with Prime and Ironhide really quick?
No, that's the wonderful part about voiceover is nobody knows what you look like. Nobody does. And I was walking through where were we? Where was I last? In Kentucky, yeah.
In Lexington.
Right here.
That's where we are.
That's where we are.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Oh,
it's a very memorable place.
Oh, I loved it. Oh, gosh, I loved it. Because I'm a horse person, so I do love horses. And
this is the place to be then.
Oh, yeah, gee whiz. Anyway, I was walking through the Toy Mart area, and there were two big guys, and huge guys, walking down, and they didn't see me. Not surprised. And I was looking at a toy, and as they walked by, they said, "Gee, God, I was so surprised to realize that he was smaller than I thought. I thought he was a big guy." He said, "Yeah, so did I. But I thought he was huge. Yeah, no, he's just a short guy." I looked up at him and said, "Yeah, I am."
You should like mess with kids, like go in the toy aisle and start looking at Transformers toys, and then just start talking to them in Optimus Prime's voice.
Oh, I haven't done that yet, but
that would be fun.
Well, you have three.
That would be fun. And,
you have 3 kids yourself, don't you?
And and I have I just have a grandson now.
Congratulations!
He's 3.5 months old, and Hasbro sent me a bunch of baby toys that I was delighted to give to my son and his beautiful bride. And the baby was reacting to them, and I thought that was just sensational. It's so exciting to have a grandson. I can't tell you. It's really just has lit up my life. It's wonderful. So I can't wait to give him some of my Optimus Prime toys when he's a little older, so I can watch him break them.
Well, how did your kids react? Like, because I'm sure Transformers has been on for years. I mean, in some kind of way, in some stations, when they hear their dad's voice. I mean, they knew it was you, right?
Yeah, and although my son was just a little out of that age bracket, he's 36, and but my daughter would always tell me, gee, I told kids in my class that you were Optimus Prime, and said, I'm a big hero now. But, she could have said that if I was Meps the cat, who, or some other oddball character. Oh, your dad does that? Yeah. Yep, that's my dad. Always puts a smile on my face.
Oh, I bet.
Wow, that's...
Well, I had a question. Do you have any advice for people who want to get into voice acting? Like when I was in college, I decided for like a year I wanted to be a voice actress for cartoons or specifically also singing theme songs to cartoons, because I just always had fun doing that on my own. And I think I could get cheesy enough to do that. But, I mean, I'm a teacher now, and I really like it. I don't necessarily want to be a voice actress anymore, but do you have any advice for people who are trying to get into that field?
Well, I would certainly encourage that desire if they have an inclination towards it, and I would recommend that they do some research on how to study it. I mean, it's a wonderful way of creating sounds. Your voice is an instrument, and much like any musical instrument, and you can learn how to work it. You can learn. I mean, it takes years and years to become a classic pianist, but it also takes years and years to become an opera singer. It's a beautiful instrument, and you can learn how to work it. It's part of your body, like an athlete, and as your fingers are to a piano. So I would definitely research, and I think in New York, and I think more so Hollywood, has access to voiceover schools. But I think basically it begins with acting, and then learning how to act, and learning the tricks of that trade, and then to apply your mechanics as a voiceover person. That's just practice, whether it's an animal sound or it's a funny voice or...
right, and that's...
It's certainly as a teacher, when you see one of the kids out of 30, you probably say, well, that kid makes wonderful little noises. And I encourage that kind of thing, because it's creative.
Yeah.
And being creative, I think encouragement is the one thing that makes it grow, no matter what.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't mean to preach, but...
Oh, no. Oh, no, that was really good advice, and that's probably... I remember starting to try to practice, too, like in college with my voice, because I couldn't do necessarily any other voices besides my own, and I didn't practice, and that's probably why I didn't follow it. But no, I mean, I totally agree that you should encourage creativity, and
there's a lot of techniques, and I'm sure you'll find them, but singing is learning how to sing and learning where your resonant areas are, the top of your head, the facial mask, your chest, areas where you can apply vibration, and that can change a sound or make your voice lower or higher. It's a very, very involved thing. It requires concentrated work, so...
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that. We did that in choir. I didn't think about doing that for voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, I learned a lot.
You're welcome, Melanie.
Well, we've heard Prime and Ironhide, but Dan's a big fan of Eeyore, so could you give us a little Eeyore, Peter?
Okay. But only this once, because I'm tired. I'm so tired I could go to bed if I had one, but I don't. Oh well, just another day in Hollywood. Oh gosh, I don't know what to say to you, Dan.
That was so sad.
You could use this on your phone. You've reached Dan's house. Nobody's home. Please leave your name and your number. Didn't think you cared. He'll try to get back to you. Don't be surprised if he don't. He never calls me.
Must not crack up during phone message.
Wow.
Oh, that was superb.
So do you get a lot of that at conventions? Hey, can you leave me a voicemail as Optimus Prime?
No, I haven't done that yet, and for some reason I'm a little apprehensive in doing it because I don't want to start something that I can't finish.
You should charge, Peter. You should charge people.
I never really thought about it that way, and I guess I'm just trying to avoid that.
You know how many people would love for Optimus to answer their phone?
Well, you're putting a bug in my ear here. I have to cut you in on the profits for giving me the thought. But,
No, you can just leave me. You can make my own voicemail. That's all I want.
You have reached Omar. Leave a name and leave a number, and do it as quickly as you possibly can. This is Optimus Prime. Don't make me mad.
That was awesome.
Wow. My nipples are hard. That was amazing.
I think
You
you
have
just
reached
gave...
Melanie. She is not home. This is Optimus Prime. Leave a message. Don't make her angry.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Wow. That was...
This is the best interview ever.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, now, is this a newspaper interview, or is it broadcast?
No, this is broadcast. This is
Okay.
we'll be releasing this as a podcast next Monday.
So
And
call
go ahead.
Steve and tell him how I can hear it, or what do I have to do to hear it? Because at
Okay.
one point I'd love to hear it.
Oh, absolutely. We will... Yeah, I'll get in touch with Steve again, and I'll email him a link to exactly where you need to hear it. I'm sure... Do you have an iPod?
No, I don't.
You don't have to. All you have to have is a computer. You can you can listen to it through Windows Media Player.
Oh, great. That's great.
Hey, and Peter, if you want to come back, next year as the movie gets closer, you are more than welcome to come back.
Hey, I'd love to go to Keeneland.
We would love to take
Yeah,
you.
we
Steve.
You could stay at my house, Peter.
Oh, that's keen. I like it.
Well, Peter, it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I would just I'd love to come out and see the growing quarter horse industry out there. There's some nice horses coming out of Kentucky. And they're not all thoroughbreds; they're quarter horses, and that's my kind of deal. Is cowboy horse.
That's cool. Well, we could show you that, and then we could show you our toy rooms with our excessive collection of Optimus Primes over the years.
Fantastic.
Well,
It's been great talking to you guys. I hope you got everything you needed.
oh,
More than enough.
it has been an honor talking to you too, and we so much appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Well, generally speaking, I feel exactly the same way. So I appreciate you guys a lot.
Well, thank you. And Peter, as the movie gets closer, like next year, we could have you on again if you want to push the movie.
Sure.
And
Great.
we promise we won't let you do any more voicemails.
Well, now you keep those personally to yourselves.
Yes, sir.
That's a promise, right?
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, Dan, Melanie, Omar, thank you very, very much.
It was an honor.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And now we're silent.
I don't
What
know.
do you say after that?
I don't know. I'm kind of speechless. This is the first time I've been speechless talking to somebody.
Yeah,
It's also
you
the first
always
time
have
you've
something to
repeated
say.
yourself.
Yeah, you did, baby.
I was nervous. That was like...
Are you sweating?
I'm sweating.
You're
I have
sweating.
my palms. Yeah,
are
me too.
He said Omar's voicemail.
I know he said mine too.
Well, it was just, he was a great guy, he was fun to talk to.
Yeah, that was the most fun interview.
It was like talking to an old buddy, which Optimus Prime practically is. I mean, it was like, you know, he was one of my childhood heroes. Yours too.
Yeah. I mean, not one of. I'm sure I've told you this before. We had to write a paper in like 9th grade. You know, so this is what, 92, long after Transformers is gone off the air, and we had to write a paper about our biggest hero from our childhood. And I think I was the only person who wrote about a cartoon character, and I wrote a paper about Optimus Prime.
That's awesome.
You know, it's just, it's so amazing. You know, as a kid, and I think there's a lot of truth to what he was saying, where, you know, when we were kids, you don't think about the actors doing the voices. You know, it's not really a concern. It's you know, there's Optimus Prime.
It's Optimus Prime.
Yeah, and Optimus Prime is Optimus Prime. You know, you don't think that there's somebody behind Optimus Prime doing the voices. I mean, I never realized when I was a kid that, you know, a handful of guys were doing 30, 40 different characters. You know, I never made the connection that Optimus Prime and Ironhide were voiced by the same guy, or Megatron and Soundwave, you know, and so it's great now as an adult. You know, you have a completely different viewpoint, and you appreciate how much, you know, these people's, how much their work really meant to you as a kid. And, you know, now we're in a position where we can actually talk to these people and tell them how much it means to us. And so,
and he's as humble as...
Oh, well, it's an incredible opportunity for us. And,
yeah.
You know, I mean, because how often... And I think, too, you know, voice actors particularly are uniquely accessible in that instance, too. Because, like he said, just walking around, you know, he's largely anonymous. And I'm sure that's true for the vast majority of voice actors. And, you know, and they're... So, in a sense, you know, they're much easier to talk to, you know? I mean, you can actually relate to these people a lot more. And because, you know, they were kind of behind a mask of the animation, it's not as intimidating, you know, because, you know, you're thinking this is the voice of Optimus Prime, you know, and it's just like, you know, I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine a greater thing, and I don't even know where I was going with that.
I was going to say,
I wasn't even listening to you. I'm still trying to get over the fact that...
But yeah, and it made it a lot cooler that, I mean, it wasn't just the voice of Optimus Prime, but that he was such a great guy.
Oh, indeed. And
not afraid to show how caring.
Yeah, I mean, never once did he say, "I'm not at liberty to talk about that," or he was just honest. He couldn't remember some of that stuff, which is true. I mean, that was over 20 years ago.
He said at BotCon that he is in the process of writing an autobiography, which I regret. This is the problem with my method of, you know, trying to question off the cuff, is that, you know, I had this when I was writing notes this morning, you know, just kind of trying to figure out what I was going to say. I wrote down that I wanted to ask him about that, and I forgot about it while we were talking to him. But he mentioned that you know, he's telling, you know, trying to recount some of the days doing this early voiceover work, or not early necessarily, but, you know, these older shows and whatnot. And it's, you know, because, I mean, you know, you got to figure I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't pick out a day at work 2 years ago. You know, every day blends into another day, and, you know, when it's just what you do.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it doesn't seem special.
You're not the one that's sitting there watching it on a television and seeing the episode over and over,
right?
And
expect them to
remember.
And then buying it again on DVD.
Buying the new one on DVD.
I forgot. I should have asked him if he's got, like, if he's ever went back and watched it, if he owns the DVDs and he goes back. Maybe, you know, I don't know, watch it. Maybe he'll watch it with his grandson.
I mean, can you imagine being his kid? My dad was the voice of Optimus Prime.
I know.
Like, you know, that's... Wow. Dad, could you sign this to eBay, please?
Oh my goodness.
That was a really fun episode. So I guess we won't really talk about comic books. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. It was really fun.
And it was. And if you're coming to this interview from any of the Transformers sites, thanks for listening. And if you're at all interested in comic books and toys, that's the general focus of our site. The site is www.aboutheroes.com. We've got forums that we'd love for you to join. And we pretty much just tend to encourage comments and conversation both in the forums and in response to the posts.
And you can always feel free to email us, too.
Yeah, our email is heroes@aboutheroes.com. And I think that's it for this time.
Stay geeky.